United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law is enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 10th, 2025, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com. Published in the board's designated online media outlet, newspaper, the Record, and the Star Ledger. Filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or to all of the members of a public body held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers-Kang, Ms. Colbath,
Here.
Ms. Curry,
Here.
Mr. Knight, Ms. Kotang,
Here.
Mr. Lopez, Ms. Morel,
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Here. Ms. Richter.
Here. The board will be convening to executive session to discuss legal personnel and other confidential matters. The board will reconvene into public session at approximately 7:30 p.m. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Rubino, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies in which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Fort Lee Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 10th, 2025, and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet newspaper, the Record, and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as any gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all of the members of a public body held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Ms. Byers-Kang, Ms. Colbath,
Here.
Ms. Curry,
Here.
Mr. Knight,
Here.
Ms. Kotang,
Here.
Mr. Lopez, Ms. Morel,
Here.
Mr. Rubino. Here. Ms. Richter.
Here. The board convened executive session at 6:30 p.m. to discuss legal personnel and other confidential matters. Dr. Kravitz, will you begin by sharing the superintendent's report?
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for joining this evening. We are happy to announce that the 140 students, 11th to 12th graders who tested for the New Jersey Seal of Biliteracy, 119 students earned the passing score, demonstrating their dedication to multilingualism and global citizenship. This year, 53 seniors have been reported in NJ Smart and will receive the award, while 66 juniors are already on track to qualify next year. Additionally, more students may become eligible with a passing score on the AP language exam this spring. Last year, only 8 students earned the seal, showcasing their incredible growth in our program. So thank you to all of the teachers and to all of the administrators who helped with that. And now I'll just introduce our high school students, Devisha Jain and Peach Lee.
Hello everyone, my name is Cheech and I serve as the current co-vice president of Fort Lee High School Student Council.
Hi, my name is Devisha Jain and I'm co-treasurer of the Student Council.
And we would like to report on current status of Fort Lee High School. Spring sports tryouts and practices have begun today.
Today, all 11th grade students started the NJGPA. Testing will continue through Thursday. 11th grade students will continue to report directly to their assigned test rooms. Students in grades 9, 10, and 12 will have a delayed opening. Once testing is completed, all students will follow a delayed opening class schedule.
Fort Lee High School Chess Club visited Leonia High School for our semi-annual competition on February 24th. In our division, were victorious in 23 of the 36 matches played. Seniors Aaron O, Kyung Suk Kim, and Joshua Kim were all undefeated.
On February 22nd and 23rd, Alexa Alon performed with the All-Star Choir in Atlantic City. Alexa is also 2025 President of Unsung Hero Award in Fort Lee High School. This award ceremony took place at Bergen Community College on March 4th.
Congratulations to freshman Yana Kudo for being selected to the first team of all-county girls wrestling. She is the first female wrestler in the history of Fort Lee High School to receive this accolade, which is absolutely amazing.
Congratulations to the sophomore Raina Kim for being selected to the first team all-county girls bowling team. Also, congratulations to the senior Dana Kim and junior Jenna Yang on being selected the second team of all.
Lastly, the Fort Lee High School Theater Program proudly presents the musical Red. The show will open on March 21st at 7 p.m. with additional performances on March 22nd at 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. The final performance will be on March 23rd at 3 p.m. We invite you to come out to show your support. We are very proud of Fort Lee High School, and we will keep doing so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For this meeting, we do announce we have 3 HIVs and all 3 of them found. Now I'd like to introduce Michael Simons, our business administrator, who will present our 2025-2026 school budget.
Good evening. We just got the motion. My name is Michael Simons. I'm school business administrator here in Fort Lee. It's an honor and privilege to serve as a school business administrator as well as the board secretary. What we're going to do tonight is go through tentative budget presentation. Reason why it's tentative, it requires the state to approve the budget, and we will have the public budget hearing officially on May 5th, 2025. If you could, this is also a presentation. We're going to celebrate some of our academic achievements. And if you could also hold all your questions to the end, so maybe there's people that have the same question and we can just answer that once. That'd be very appreciated. Okay. So first I hear we have our board members. Thank you for your service and dedication as trustees for the community. And all that you do. We have the agenda here, which is the district overview, the budget process, the budget, and the tax levy impact. Okay, start with the overview. It's not working again. Okay. One second, so move the slide. No, it's on, but it's not. It's okay. But as long as it passes. Thank you. I'm going to move to one slide. If I hit the arrow button, it's not working.
I could advance the slides for you.
It's not, space button and arrow button, it's not working on the, I'll just say next slide. Make it easier to move along. Next slide, please. This is our mission statement. Fort Lee is the place to be, obviously. You'll see there, we have an awesome mission statement that we want to have global learners, global skills, and we want to. And we're based in a strong community. It's just a place to be. Next slide, please. The instruction vision. Dr. Kravitz and Ms. Baker provide us with exceptional vision for the instruction. And they do a great job. And you'll see here, it's a combination of differentiated instruction, intellectual, social, emotional needs, and other practices for our students. Next slide, please. We have a lot to be proud of here in Fort Lee. 99% of our students graduate, 91 pursue a higher degree. Also, just this past year in 2024, we had the Blue Ribbon for school number 3. Blue Ribbon Award, National Ribbon Award. Next slide, please. Here's the history of our enrollment. As you can see, we are at about 4,008 students in October of 2024. That is how we were funded for this year's state aid. And you can see the history there going back to 2014, where we had 3,787 students. And you see it's gone well up and down. Next slide, please. Okay, and next slide after that. So what is the budget, right? Is the next thing. Next slide. All right, thank you. A budget is a fiscal plan. It incorporates all the needs, which is your revenues, your state aid, local taxes, grants. It includes all of our expenditures, our teachers, our materials for the classroom, facilities, maintenance, transportation, student services. Includes all these things. Who's in charge of doing this? It's a team effort. We're gonna go down to the next slide. But the budget is. Thank you. Next slide, please. So we started with a budget build. Then each of the departments and each of the schools presented their budgets. After that, we had a review process with the superintendent and administrative here at central office. Then we got our state aid, and then we met with the Board of Ed, which is the finance committee. I would like to thank first the principals, supervisors, directors who contributed to this budget. It's a team effort. They went through their schools or their departments and submitted what they needed for this 25-26 school year. Then we had the committees meet, the finance committee. We met 2 times as a finance committee and reviewed the budget and went over various things that are affecting the budget for this year. Now we're at today, which is March 10th. We are going to be passing the preliminary budget. The county has a review process from March 19th to the early part of April. Then we advertise once the state approves the budget. And the final budget approval will be on May 5th at the public budget hearing. Next slide, please. All right, get into the budget now. All right, next slide, please. Some of the highlights of our budget. We had to do a medical adjustment for our medical costs for $1,543,181. State aid was only increased by 5.2%. This budget does not include in 2025-6 a capital reserve withdrawal or any other reserve withdrawals. It's a straight state aid and straight tax levy. The long range facility plan is what we are waiting for. Once we have a long range facility plan, it is complete. We plan to enact those capital reserve funds into action smartly and also with some strategy based upon the priorities of the long range facilities plan. What a long range facilities plan is, so everybody's aware, it is a plan that takes all of our facilities and accounts for everything in all of our buildings, from the roof down to the windows, down to the floors, everything. And it will tell us what we need to prioritize and what we need to do. Next slide, please. Total budget for general fund is $92,970,131. The total for the general fund makes up all of our current year expenses, which is your tax levy, state aid. From revenue side, from the appropriation side, it's pretty much every school-based budget as well as central office, including maintenance. And benefits and other things like that. We'll get into that in a second when we get into the appropriation side. Fund 20 is your special revenue, also known as grants. Your fund 40, which is debt service, makes up $4,683,776. These are these were referendums that were approved prior. There was 3 of them. So this is what these the 3 referendums that Fort Lee has approved are in this as prior debt service. And that is separate from the general fund for this purpose. And then the total budget, and you can see all of this in your agenda, by the way, on 9F, for a total of $99,666,568. Okay, so you can refer back to your agenda for that. Next slide, please. State aid. State aid this year, we got a total of $6,139,880. And as you can see, it's been going up. We had a little dip there in 10-11, but since then it was stabilized, and now it is rising a little bit each year, for a total of 5.2% this year. Next slide, please. This slide here is a breakdown of all of our revenue funds, and the total increase is 2.93%. Next slide, please. Here's the pie chart. This is why I kind of skipped it. It's easier for the eye, easier for all of us to kind of understand how our revenues are made up. The tax levy makes up 85%, with state aid making up 8%, tuition making up 2%, budgeted fund balance making up 3%, and then you have miscellaneous revenue, interest, and transportation fees at a little less than 1% or 1%. And you'll see that there in the chart. And that makes up our revenues for the 25-26 budget, totaling $92,970,131. Next slide, please. Here's our budget challenges we have from the appropriation side. Okay, first, medical benefits for the state health benefits plan, which we have for our employees, for the NJ Direct 10 PPO plan is 20.71% forecasted, and for the educators plan, it's 5.08%. For the RX plan is at 18.5% increase. That has been confirmed. That's what the private medical carrier. Also, electrical costs are forecasted to go up 17% starting in June. Currently, they're up 3% since January. And our current year budget is paying that now, the current increase. And last thing is the workers' comp insurance rate is going to go up to 24%. And remember, our state aid only went up 5.2%. Okay. All right, so here's our appropriations. You'll see the current expenses at the 92 million. You'll see 0 for the capital, the special revenue, and your debt service totaling the same amount we just discussed in the revenue, because your revenues have to equal your appropriations at $99,666,568. So we balance. Next slide, please. Next slide is a comparison of programs from the current year, which is in a grayish, purplish color, to the orange color in 25-26. So you can see That the bottom line there. I'll try to use this laser pointer. Hold on. I'm sorry, just go to the bottom line, you see the employee benefits there, you'll see the difference from the 18 million that's forecasted in 25-26 to 16.5 million that is in 24-25. And then, next slide, please. All right, thank you. Here is your appropriations. So 51% of our budget is for regular and special ed programs, support our students. Then you have your employee benefits to support our employees at 20%. Then transportation makes up about 4% of our budget. Tuition makes up 7%. Student support makes up 3%. Capital outlay makes up less than 1%. That is made up of actually a prior debt service payment through the SDA, and every year they give us an assessment. So we just put 1%, it's actually less than that, but just to even out the pie chart. Buildings and grounds is 8%, and extracurricular activities is 1% of our budget. Next slide, please. Okay, we'll talk about the tax impact. So we talked about the total tax levy. Now we're going to see the impact that it takes place for our taxpayers here in Fort Lee. Next slide, please. So here you see a bar graph. This shows the tax increase that was approved for every year from 13-14 to the current year proposed of 25-26. Last year's tax levy increase was 4.41%. This year we are proposing at 4.04%. The average across all the years, including the 25-26 year, is 3% since 13-14. Next slide, please. Here's the tax impact. So we did contact the town as well as doing a Google search. We are still waiting for the updated average assessed value. So you see there, $479,711. Might be changed at the public budget hearing. We're waiting to hear back from the tax assessor that will tell us if it's the same value or it's a little more. From 23-24 to 24-25, it went up very slightly. It was like 278,000, and now it's 478,000. Now it's $479,711. It was a very slight increase. If we do get the exact numbers, we will change it for the public budget hearing. So on the average assessed home, $479,711. Just for the general fund, the tax assessment will be $209.63 per household. And then if you look at the calculation for including the debt service, using the same average assessed home of $479,711, you'll see an average assessment of $225.94. Next slide, please. So what does that mean? In terms of every day, it's annually $225.94. That's $18.83 a month. That's 62 cents a day. That's going to be what the tax increase would be with that average assessed amount. And you see there on the left column of this slide of all of the tax amounts for your budget tax levy. So the budget tax levy for the general fund is going to be $78,633,952. You see all the net increases there as well, for a total net increase of $3,516,555 for a total net increase. Okay. Next slide, please. So we are looking forward and ahead at all times. We are confident in facing challenges, and we're determined and striving for excellence in the business office as well as in Fort Lee Public Schools. Next slide, please. I just want to thank everybody Here on the slide, we thank you all for your time, from Dr. Kravitz to Ms. Baker, to myself, to my assistant BA, as well as to Gina Retzka, our Director of Human Resources. Thank you so much. And the last slide should just be our website. I think. Next slide, please. There you go. Does anybody have any questions?
Can you go to the slide with the breakdown of revenue funds?
Sure. That is along with the slide.
About halfway through.
Yeah.
I don't have the number on here.
Sort of fun. You're referring to the pie chart or the actual revenue?
No, this one.
Okay. So Jason, so
This title. Which one should be breakdown of revenue funds?
it's the breakdown of the revenue funds before the pie chart?
State aid revenue.
It says state aid revenue, but it's not breakdown of revenue funds.
It's
It's a chart.
the chart
Not
before
pie
the pie.
Yeah.
Up a few more, please.
Yeah.
Right there,
16.
okay?
That's really hard.
I apologize if I can't enlarge that. We tried to fit the same information as last year, and
Jason, can you put that back on the screen and read
Maybe
the
on
budget?
the screen, but. oh.
I think he's trying to make it larger.
So on line item 3,
Right, yes,
the surplus, that
Yes.
$2.7 million this year, current year, that's the balance that we had excess from previous year.
correct.
And we're projecting 3.9 for the following year.
For the current year, we're budgeting, yes.
Is that sort of like our cushion that we leave every year? We try to leave a little cushion in case there is an emergency need. Why do we have a 5% buffer? Is that a common practice?
Well, there's two things that take place. You'll see going back to 23-24, the 24-25 across the 25-26, that there's a history here of using excess surplus. Going back probably further, I have the data, but not with me here at the podium. I can share it with you. Going back further, where it's always been the case that they've always done that here.
And the intention is just, so if there's a rainy day, we have this.
Yes. And
So for
The-
example, if the state decides to pull the rug under us, because there's no promise next year we get 6 million. I mean, the year after, like that number cannot be counted on.
so just to be clear, excess surplus is based upon the ending of the audit year 23-24. So the other thing was just the past board meeting, the auditor gave the announcement of the surplus of 3 million. Then the 496,000 is what they calculate in state software that we have to force in.
Yeah, but my question is,
Yeah.
is the thinking that there are certain line items on this budget that are not recurring? For example, our tax levy, if that's fairly stable,
Correct,
but our state aid may not be stable.
correct.
The extraordinary aid, is that stable?
Extraordinary aid can fluctuate up and down, and we are very cautious. And with that number, in 22-23, Fort Lee got over $2.1 million approximately, and has gone down since then. So we use the same number that we received in the 24-25 year. Just to be conservative. Because it's a separate state application that is due in the spring to this, and it's based upon your special education costs, and there's no guarantee that they're gonna give you.
And
The money.
historically, has there ever been an incident where the state aid or the extraordinary aid is taken from us? Because that's 10% of our budget, that's pretty big to not have commitment on.
Typically, the state will always fund that. This,
Look at 2011.
So there are times that, so understanding that timing of the budgets, and so our budget is completed by May. And then the state budget is finalized in July 1st. So that's why you'll hear sometimes from the state legislature, several years ago with the former governor, they were balancing the budget, they couldn't balance it, and there was a close, there was a shutdown. That happens where they can come back and change those state aid numbers. Then you have to adjust your budget. But for the purposes of the statute, we must complete our budget by the first week of May. So there have been instances where that happens.
And is that the purpose of your surplus?
Surplus is a numerical value that's determined by your auditor. And then they tell you how much you have to kick back in, because you can only carry X number of dollars every year in your surplus. So they'll determine it. The same way that when we determine there's extra money, because when we do a budget, which is what this is, it's projecting how much we will need for next year. If there's an over, that's why at the end of every year, you'll see any extra money that we physically know will be deposited traditionally in a capital reserve account. There are 3 or 4 accounts that you put that money in. That's what you'll need a board agenda item to say, we reserve the right for the business administrator to put X number of dollars in the maximum allowed for the capital reserve, and that's what they'll do. Then the auditor comes in the fall and audits all of the books for that previous year, and then determines there might be extra funds available based on calculations of bond debt, based on, calculations of healthcare costs, anything like that. Once that number is complete, then they create the audit, which was presented at the last meeting. So usually around December and January, you know what your fund balance, unrestricted fund balance is.
So how do we determine, who determines what gets allocated into capital fund versus general funds?
So that the capital reserve fund is allocated at the end of the year based on what what we actually see as a surplus. We will not know our unrestricted fund balance until after the audit is completed, which will be, like this year, it's completed in March.
Right, so we have 2.9 million that is now allocated into general fund. Why isn't that allocated into capital versus general?
You could, but we didn't know that number until after they audit. So there's a number that's put into capital reserve, and then after the audit is done, they determine that unrestricted fund balance. Just like
Once that's determined, once that number
you
is,
can't put it into capital reserve, you missed the deadline. The deadline for capital reserve is that fiscal year, so June 30th of 2024. So on June 30th of 2025 coming up, right? We can within reason project some number right now what our balance will be for the end of this school year. That number will be put into a resolution very close to it of how much will go into capital reserve. Now comes the beginning of the next fiscal year, the audit comes, and here's your extra money that we recognize. Could be things where your summer projects will be coming under debt, under cost. It could all of those other things, those other items that once audited. And by the way, same way you have tuition, you might be projecting to pay a school district for students, and you projected to pay them $25,000. You get your end of year cost. If you paid them $20,000, that's $5,000. That's when you get your unrestricted fund balance.
what did we set aside for capital balance last year?
I don't remember the number at the end of June.
At
Because
the end of June was approximately $4 million was added. I have the capital reserve information.
no, she asked one question, just how much we put in. $4 million.
So 4 million.
$4 million was added.
And then we have another 2.6 here for the general fund this year.
In this current year, you have 2.6 that was determined in the, so it's like next year, we're determining now, the audit from last week, 3.9 has to be used in the upcoming school year. But you're not allowed to carry tremendous surplus in any category.
Right, understood, but there's, I just want to make sure I understand that this number here is how we come up.
Right, so a lot of the surpluses for schools came about during COVID, because as the expenses were dropping significantly, busing and employees and things like that, that's when schools started to carry this surplus money. And the state was getting back and forth, kept telling all the districts, start to use your money. You can't carry that money, because it's taxpayer dollars.
And be aware,
Just before we move on from that, was our surplus actually the 4 million that we did transfer into capital reserve? plus what we're using for our general budget?
It's a combination of what was left over, so take the 4 million as extra for this school year, for that 24-25 school year. And then whatever else they determined, once the audit was complete, what was extra.
Right, so it's the 4 million that we actually transferred, we were conservative, plus the 2.697.
Correct.
And that was money that we had allocated in our last budget, but we didn't spend.
Correct. But we have to allocate, just to be clear. So when we craft that budget, we make projections based on historical number of students that would need to be out of district placements, based on, when you do negotiations, things of that.
And be aware of one thing, the long range facility plan, which we talked about in the PowerPoint, that sets the maximum amount that you can have in your capital reserve. So by updating our long range facility plan, I'm sure the number is going to be greater than our current long range facility plan. So that will give us more levity to put more money into the capital reserve account, because you'll have a bigger number of availability.
Which line item on this list do we is tied to federal funding and that we may face uncertainty over?
That would be toward, if you're on the same slide, I'm trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4.
ESEA.
Yeah, it would be the grants. It would be the ESA, IDEA, and state entitlements.
Yep.
So that's $2,012,661.
Isn't semi-federal also?
Yes,
Yes, semi was reduced tremendously.
And then the
in
ESSER,
all
that's
districts,
all
70 was
federal
reduced.
money, right?
The ESSERs have all expired at this point.
That was federal.
Yes, most of the ESSERs expired in September. It was a 4 or 5 year cycle, whatever it was. They're all expired, yeah.
So what was the total number?
Well, for the grants, federal grants, it would be $2,012,661 plus the semi at the $13,300. And semi is a federal reimbursement program based upon IEPs and did very different things like that.
So from the line items from after tuition, those are all pre-advanced funds that we have to apply it to specific use, correct?
Well, after you see after you get through the 2,012,661, you'll see the debt service aid that we did get from the state for debt service of $411,724, plus the debt service tax levy. And the tax levy is made up of the difference of your total liability minus the debt service aid. So then you have $4,272,052 that is going to go towards your debt service levy that was determined by the 3 prior referendums.
I just wanted, so the question that I had was, any revenue, after tuition cannot be spent on general program. I just want to be clear about that. They're specifically reserved for capital, for maintenance, emergency, correct?
Correct, yes,
I just want to look at it that way.
yes.
Okay, but the IDEA, we charge salaries of teachers against our IDEA grant, don't we?
Yes, but
We
Yes.
use IDEA for regular program.
yes. Specific program. Every
I just finished,
specific programming, it's specific program. So
I just finished the amendment for it, for the district. The majority of our funds will be spent on tuition for our students. And there is some set asides that we do have, federal set asides, but the majority of our funds for the IDEA, basic and preschool are all going to be spent on tuitions for our students, or for the pre-K, it's known as early intervention, which is they encourage with the pre-K funds.
Paula, do you have other questions?
Are you done? Yeah, I'm just curious, the interest that's shown on that, is that interest on our bank account? We're making $1 million a year?
Correct.
Terrific.
That's what we mentioned, that they,
Yeah.
in some districts, they use that money to support staff, knowing that, an entire business office can be paid out.
Could you just speak a little bit, at the committee level, there was a discussion on the subscription busing.
Yes.
Initially, we did not have it in here at all. That was gonna go away. And then I think the committee said, do the 50-50. Could you share those numbers so that people know, like?
Yes, so the current subscription busing right now, we transport approximately 240 students. We have over 4,000 students in our district. The bus routes have fun colors like teal, hot pink, whatever that may be. They go to various locations within town to a set school. Currently, parents are paying $100 for the year. And if you are a free or reduced student, we are not allowed to charge a free and reduced student, so they don't have to pay. Our expenses for the current year, 24-25, is $275,000. So at the finance committee level, which was last week, we were discussing increasing the funds that the parent has to contribute. And at the committee level, they discussed $600 per year. For the subscription busing, we will hold on the 240 available seats, and we will keep the same routes and pretty much the same structure that we have right now. It's just the only difference now is, instead of collecting about $17,000 in revenue, the district will collect approximately $102,000. But nothing changes other than the $500 difference from 600 to the 100 we're currently charging. And that is in the budget.
And also, since historically, every year we do something with our capital reserve. We just, the buildings have needs, and I understand we're doing a long-range plan. Once that comes out and is approved, how difficult will it be for us to, because this gets approved at the county level, you said?
Correct.
And so, let's say we decide we're gonna do the bathrooms at the high school, something that I hope comes back very high on this long-range plan. Are we able to do it in this calendar year if we don't put it in now?
There's a process you can do, and you can insert money in the year that you're in. With the county, it's a process that we would have to follow step by step to do. But be aware also that in 23-24, which is pretty current budget year, the year that just was audited, there was no capital funds used, which is kind of interesting. So there was no capital funds used in the year 23-24 that was just audited. Every other year back to 2014-15, here historically in Fort Lee, they have used capital funds, but in 23-24 there wasn't.
On your chart for 23-24 audited, we did a capital reserve withdrawal of over $4 million. Every year we have been continually improving our buildings.
It's the maintenance reserve.
So that's maintenance.
No, maintenance was 0, capital reserve was 4 million.
That's not. Audited in 23-24.
This is 0. Right.
This is 0. That was a carryover. That was a carryover project. The actual.
Okay, but we spent in that year audited $4 million on capital projects. And when we get the plan,
Yes.
I wish we had something in here now. We all know things that need to get done. I just want to make sure that next month, whenever we finally approve the long-range facilities plan, that we can quickly decide, okay, this is the highest need, let's get it done. We're gonna, we try to do these things in the summer when students aren't in school. And so I mean, me personally, I don't wanna lose a summer, and doing some work.
When I looked at the budget software, there was $8 million that the district used in 22-23. So if project's not complete, it carries over to the next year. When you look at
It
the,
didn't get done. What happened was it was supply chain issues before you came. And we were in the middle of projects and we couldn't get things that we needed. So we did pay out in the 22, 23, 24 year. We actually paid out in connection with capital projects, $4 million.
So it's a
Yes, that was approved the year before.
So to answer your question, you can do it. It's a different process.
Yeah.
Yes, the capital reserve projects normally you put in the budget, and then you would start July 1st. If you don't put it into your budget, you can request from the county exceptions to take that money out, and then you would do it. So to answer your question, yes, you could. So May 1st, June 15th, you could say to the county, we'd like to do these type of projects, we'd like to have the money from the capital reserve, and they would have to do it special, yes.
Okay. And is that kind of what our thinking is this year?
Our main thinking is to get a plan. You know, the district is required by law to have an information facility plan, we haven't had one over 10 years, 15 years. That list, and as Michael said, that list lists every item, so we will see and we know what's happening. There are a lot of issues that need to be addressed. And that will give us what is actually out of compliance, what needs to get addressed and what the age is for everything. And that helps us determine in the future how much we can put in capital reserve, as you said. I don't know where the bathrooms would be, because there are probably, we know of some other pressing issues regarding that. And I think that the reason why we did this conversation about capital reserves is we have been doing things without looking at what really needs to get done. So, you know, we put in air conditioning, which is great and it's wonderful, but we have some electrical issues in some of the buildings that need to be addressed that are just as important, and which one should we do? So for us to make that priority list, be able to present it, going back to the strategic plan, these are the topics, these are the projects that we should get. You know, we'd love to redo our auditorium, we'd love to redo a lot of things, but it's like, should we build it, fix the roof, or clean up the classrooms? First, we need to fix the roof and then start with everything else. And we needed a plan. And if you're not familiar with the long-range facility plan out there, engineers come in, architects come in, they do a full-blown of everything: windows, doors, roofs, electrical systems, heating and air conditioning, even the ones we currently have, what their lifespan is. And then everything is projected with the current cost in today's dollars. So you will have a priority list saying, high priority, your electrical panel here needs to be replaced. Low priority, air conditioning at the middle school because it's coming in next month or 3 months. That's your lowest. Everything will be out, it's available, people can see it and know what needs to get done and what the cost potential is.
anything else? Well, it is 9 on your agenda for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simons, and thank you, Catherine, for helping, Mr. Administrator. I do have one other thing for the agenda, actually an administrative change for the administrative change for the agenda. 5P removal of number XX24, it was 6P removal of employee XX24.
Do we have any committee reports?
The negotiations committee met on Thursday, March 6th, with the Education Association and boards, attorney and administration. This is really just to discuss the ground rules and meet and greet, and to schedule upcoming meetings, which we scheduled for the next several weeks. So more information to come as it's available.
Any other committee reports? All right, do we have board members with questions or comments on tonight's agenda or any other topic? Okay. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public?
Motion. Second.
Motion Morel, second Curry, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? We will hear first from members of the public physically located here tonight, then we'll take questions and comments from those participating remotely. Participants are limited to 3 minutes in which to make their statement. For remote participants, please select the raise hand button. Mr. Ruggiero will recognize each community member in the order of raised hands. Please unmute your microphone, then state your name and home address for the record and begin your comments. Do we have members of the public here this evening who wish to speak?
Good evening, Benjamin 326 Bridge Drive, New York. I have a question. I know this past Saturday you had the water education retreat. Is that going to be available online? I know there was a link, when I tried to, go on that link. That's on the Fort Lee new website.
That was the live. That was the live.
Yeah, I tried to get on it, but I couldn't. I was wondering if it's videotaped someplace. Right.
I believe the minutes and the handouts that we all received, the PDF slideshows and stuff will be put on. Yeah. The minutes and the handouts will be posted online.
Okay, thank you. But the main reason I'm sure I know this is that the special parents advisory group. So our next meeting is going to be on March 19th. Okay, it's a Wednesday. It's going to be on Zoom at 7 p.m. We are really excited. We have a great presenter. Those of you here probably know her name is Rachel Healy. She is the teacher at the Fortress, which is the 18 to 21-year-old program. Those who don't know, my young adult is a student at that program. So we're very excited to have her. We have a packed agenda. We have a welcome introduction, brief overview of the meeting and the agenda. We'll have an introduction from the CPAC leadership. Behind me is our President Pete. Okay, we'll have again we'll have Rachel Healy. She'll be giving an overview of the program. We'll also have a video that was actually ribbon cutting, and that was filmed by Linda from Fort Lee today, so that parents know about that. Also, want to make sure that any parents, guardians that have a high school student, okay, that is a senior that has an IEP, very important to please come to this meeting. It's on Zoom and learn about the program. I'll be very honest with you, I've said this many times, I was very hesitant about the program. I was not sure about the program, but I did 180. I won't say 360, I did 180. It really, you guys see it's really a great program. And I know I've been being up Dr. Kravitz, to get Ms. Healy, to do the presentation, but really want to let the parents know about this program. A lot of parents say they want to go to out of district, but they say keep them in-house. We have the program, and we need you to be our biggest cheerleader about the program. Let everybody know about the program. We also have information about leadership elections coming up. We have something that we call PG, which is actually parent guardian ideas and concerns, and we have open forum. Also, we want people to realize that also we do have a website, which is sepag@flboe.com. Any questions?
Hi, Oscars.
Okay, just remember, please join us again. It's on Zoom. It's 7 p.m. Okay, it's the 19th. Again, come and and hear about the Fortress program. It's the 18 to 21-year program. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Keith Goslin, 2185 Lemoyne Avenue. I'm not going to last 3 minutes, Jason, but I still want to be played off with the Oscars music. Just a couple things. I know you covered all the CPAC stuff, but we want to remind parents and guardians of students in the district with IEPs and 504s. You're welcome to come to these meetings. And in April, we're gonna actually do the nominations for the leadership positions in June first. So we would love to see as many people there. We've seen well over 100 new faces this year. We'd love to get you all in one meeting, so that would be amazing. So please show up next week, as Andrew mentioned, and also in April for the nominations. This doesn't really have much to do with school, but I know a lot of us know or about the families who were affected or people who were affected by the fire in Leonia. And there was a fundraiser recently. But there's another fundraiser, so I'm gonna plug it because it's my firehouse. So it's Firehouse Company One on Main Street, Firehouse Company One on Main Street. Saturday, starting at 6:30 p.m. You can buy tickets for $50 at the door, and there's gonna be karaoke and all sorts of stuff going on there, and all you can eat corned beef and cabbage. So please join us, and all the proceeds are going to all the people affected by that terrible tragedy and fire in Leonia. So that's it. Thank you. Oh, wait, not it. You mentioned you might have an update on bus tracking sooner rather than later, so we're gonna ask about that every month. Thank you. And no updates, fine.
We are absolutely a lot of different things, and it this morning, sorry, this afternoon, I know Mr. Steinmetz and I were talking about it again. So how we put it into our bids, what we're doing now. Cool. So we are on it, absolutely.
No music.
Jason, get nice and music.
Anyone else in person wishes to?
Hi, Behalf Municipal, Dr. Bahadur. So I want to speak about the curriculum a bit. So one of my biggest concern is that the English used in the books is not calibrated for the language mastery of the kids for the grade they are at. For example, this is a test from first grade. My birthday is sort of open question because I was born, I thought, on September 1st, 1938. And I sort of celebrated to the extent that the Greek culture allows for celebration for your birthday. Recorded interview from former mayor of San Francisco, whatever. So there's a couple of questions here. And I wanted to debate if this is oral history versus daily life, because apparently the person doesn't know when he was born and doesn't have a name. But more than that, I wanted to ask, why is it California on the test? Why are you not testing them on anything Jersey? So with that in mind, I spent time going through the book. And going from start to finish, the only mention of anything Jersey related is at the very end on the map. Here with the states. That's the only time they mention Jersey. Other than that, you have California geography. You have California landmark. Yeah, they do have Statue of Liberty, but California landmarks. You have, again, the Golden Gate. They even have the technology, the high-speed rail that they want to build. This is Japan still. And then going forward, immigration, they have Indian Island, it's not Dali Island, which we share. And towards the end, even the community leaders and activists, they're, California people. They don't have anything Jersey related, like this much. So it's like a full page, and that's not the only person that they mentioned. And I want you to contrast that with, say, the footnote that they have about George Washington. This is the footnote that they have about George Washington. It's like paragraph. President first leader of the army, hero. That's it. Versus like a full page for whatever person in California that knows this stuff. So with that in mind, you're proposing like a 4% increase taxes. Can you send a bill to California? Because it seems like you guys are teaching their curriculum, not anything Jersey related. And the other thing that I wanted to ask on the book itself, how come a person from Toronto makes New Jersey curriculum? So that's about my question. I can share the tests. I can, I'm gonna take pictures going forward for stuff like this, and I'm gonna bring it up periodically, and we can have further conversations. Thank you.
Standards in the content area that needs to be addressed. The books that we use in the district are based on resources, so the resources match the curriculum, match the state standards and the curriculum that we use, so it's a combination. So again, curriculum is written by the school district, the resources we purchase, and the standards are given to us by the state of New Jersey. And we follow along all of those within the guidelines of the state, and we use curriculum that is, we use resources that are approved by the state of New Jersey. Thank you.
Hi, Stephanie Cutso, Tom Hunter Road, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I wanted to talk about the meeting that you guys had. That is a public meeting and has been consistently online every single year. So that needs to be up and running online. And I look forward to that being put on to online. I'm not sure what the workaround you're trying to do is, but it's a little shady. Number 2 is curriculum issue based. This was the math that the kids used to do where they learned how to do actual subtraction and mathematics. The math that they have now is insufficient. Tonight, we've heard 3 times about trying to make our children global citizens, SEL learners. And so this is what I wanted to say. The overemphasis that this district has placed on social emotional learning has left the children lacking core academic subjects like math, reading, science. School has limited time and resources and is dedicating significant portions of our curriculum to social emotional regulation and social skills with a reduced emphasis on intellectual rigor and factual knowledge. This potentially leaves students less prepared for higher education and competitive fields. As you know, most of the high schoolers who stay in the school are having a lot of difficulty. From the children that I've talked to, the ones who are excelling are the ones who are actually testing out or in different AP classes or are sent to Bergen schools or different areas. Again, SEL is subjective, and ideological in its basis. It promotes teaching values like empathy, equity, conflict of resolution, and a lot of people worry that the program inadvertently pushes specific cultural and political agendas on children. And the one-size-fits-all approach doesn't necessarily work for children that have autism. And for those with different cultural backgrounds, finds SEL learning and activities irrelevant, confusing, counterproductive. There's a potential for overreach with SEL learning, which involves discussions about feelings, family dynamics, personal challenges, which blurs the boundaries between education and therapy, placing teachers in roles they are not trained for. They are not counselors, and encourages and encroaches upon parental authority. You have consistently said you want global citizens, you want SEL. I say I want American citizens. And I want children that know about their American history in a history book, in a reading book. It just seems everything we're doing in district is a push sort of on DEI. And I think it's gonna have serious ramifications like Amy brought up in what we're going to be able to have financially in the coming years for our school. So potentially we should focus more on education of academia and less on SEL and go back to when, we were doing far better in many areas. But I definitely would like an answer on getting the upload of the video for the people to see. This was a public meeting. It was listed as a public meeting. All the other public meetings were uploaded. So I would like to hear about that.
Are you finished, man?
Yes, my time.
I didn't hear the Oscar music. So pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, my legal interpretation of same, as well as applicable Board of Education policies. All meetings are advertised in accordance with the act, which that meeting was a retreat, it's a board meeting.
They've all been up
Excuse me,
online.
ma'am, that's why I asked you, are you finished, ma'am?
Yeah,
Are you finished? Your time is okay, thank you.
they're online, so.
So I'm trying to answer your question. This is not a back and forth. I'm trying to answer your question. That's why we gave you the courtesy of the opportunity to fulfill your entire time.
But you're reading something there. Did you pre-write this?
So, ma'am, I'm looking right at you, so I'm not.
No, you're reading a paper.
No, I'm
that's on
I'm
it.
actually looking at you.
Okay, so I'd like
So-
to know from your own words, not what
You
you're
keep
reading.
interrupting me though.
Okay.
So, as President Richter responded to the prior gentleman who spoke, as I'm responding to your question, looking right at you, pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, as well as applicable board policy, all meetings of the Board of Education are advertised in accordance with the law. A retreat is a board meeting. There is no requirement in the law or board policy to post the video of a recorded meeting online. So while a meeting may be streamed, there is no legal requirement or policy requirement to post a copy of said video online. As the President Richter indicated previously, minutes of that meeting can and will be made available to the public when they are ready. Thank
So
you.
why are you not putting it online is the question.
You can, next speaker.
Okay. So you're hiding it from the public.
There's nothing being hidden, man.
Based on what
No, no,
you
they're
said,
supposed to be up and
could
running.
I just ask,
They're supposed to be
we
up.
have a long standing practice in our district of putting all of our public meetings on,
This was a
up
retreat.
on the website.
It's me.
We've had prior retreats, they were recorded, I just.
They've never been on, I've never.
So I guess,
But we haven't
I
had a retreat.
I just
so-
don't understand. Who made the, I've got like 3 questions. Who made the decision that this particular public meeting was not gonna be posted because it's unorthodox for us? We put up, and if we weren't gonna post it, why did we pay people? So one, who made the decision? Because the practice in this district is to post them. Okay, so who made the decision? 2, what was the basis of the decision? Why are we deviating from what we always do? And if you didn't have an intention to put it up online, why did we have our staff on a Saturday and pay them extra to show up to tape it? If your position is, oh, well, we don't put tapes of retreats, why did we have staff there and pay them?
so,
So those are my 3 questions.
okay, so Mrs. Colville, since we're in public comment, what I would suggest is that those questions, one, be taken under advisement by the administration in consultation with the board president.
I'll
response-
during new business.
No,
I'll ask you during.
No, my suggestion would be, whether it's now or during the business, is that it be taken under advisement and that a response be given at a later date once there is time to review all of the questions that you asked. My response to the member of the public who spoke, because she questioned and or insinuated or alleged that there was a violation of law, and my response to
That's
that
not
there.
what I did. I said it's shady.
You said shady. Shady suggests an insinuation that something was done illegally or unethically, and my response
is
to that,
unethical.
nothing was done illegally or unethically. Thank
It
you.
is.
Yeah, I'd like to say something, please. What do we, and I'm sorry, I'm sick.
Keep your voice for 1 second. If we're in public comment, we can bring this up in new business, okay?
Okay, sounds perfect. Thanks.
Does anyone else here wish to speak? No? Okay. Mr. Ruggiero?
Howard Lipoff, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, thank you. And thank Mr. Steinmetz for a very interesting report. I do have a question about his report that puzzled me. Not once, but twice, Mr. Steinmetz mentioned that the state aid increase was only a certain number. It was 5.2% increase. And I would like him to comment on why he used the word only. I thought this was good news that was being increased over 5%. Was he expecting more? I know we always would like more, but if Mr. Steinmetz could address that, I would appreciate it.
So the question, Mr. Leboff,
What's that?
Any questions, Mr. LeBeau?
That's my only question.
I would say regarding state aid, we just want more money. And only meaning, if you look at the chart that's in the PowerPoint, there is years for you to see a big climb well over 5.2% that we have gotten from the state. It's in the bar graph chart, and you'll see that in the PowerPoint. So that's why I said, thank you.
Michelle Perez, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. I don't have a question. I have a statement. First, thank you for the summary detail of the budget. I can't wait to actually see the final one because it went a little fast for me. I'm not a budget person, but seems like we're pretty healthy, and I'm glad we're well funding our students and our teachers and all the things that they need. I'm going to make a little pitch because we're talking about budgets, and the Friends of the Fort Lee Library have a scholarship for high school seniors who volunteer at the library. So should any parent of a current high school senior have a student that's been volunteering at the Fort Lee Public Library for at least 50 hours, there's a $500 scholarship up. Application is available on the FLPLFriends.org website until April 7th. And that was it. And thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Sophia Mihalakis, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, Sophia Mahlakis, 6 Horizon Road. I had a question regarding whether there's any plans for rezoning for School 1. The student capacity there is 200 more than School 2, 200 more than School 3, and 200 more than School 4. Our School 1 has no space for all the extra programs. We lost half of our library for another program, and our teachers have between 23 and 25 kids per class. That's a lot compared to the other classes in the other schools. So my question is rezoning for all the high rises that are going up.
You have another question? So are there any other questions you have?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much for your question. That is one of the questions we will address. The board has taken up the idea with a fantastic idea. We're going to do a strategic plan that, along with our long-range facilities plan, those are the 2 things that should be our guiding pillars for the next 5 to 10 years. And that will address your concern that has been discussed. But when we do a strategic plan, it includes all stakeholders, so I ask everyone to participate. There will be surveys that will be sent out once we choose to select the company that will do it with us. We've interviewed 2, we have 1 more to go. And one of those concerns is, yes, you are correct, that School 1 is overcrowded in comparison to the other schools, in the other schools in our district. But we have to look at all of that when we, the same way we look at programming. But yes, we recognize that is a very big school, and it is our oldest school, actually. So those are 2 things that are concerned. But yes, it's on our list, and we'll discuss that. Thank you.
There are no more raised hands.
May I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Rubino, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, may I have a motion to approve items 1B through 3B?
Motion.
Motion Morel, second Rubino, roll call please.
Ms. Colback,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Kotang,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino. Yes. Ms. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1 CUR through 3 CUR?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Kotang, roll call please.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Kotak,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino. Yes. Ms. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1F through 10F?
Motion. Second.
Motion Curry, second, okay? Roll call, please.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes.
Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
Yes.
Ms. Kotak,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino. Yes. Ms. Richter.
Yes, and thank you to our donors on 6F.
Thank you.
May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 14P with 5P and 6P as amended by Dr. Kravitz?
Motion. Second.
Motion Morel, second Curry, roll call please.
Ms. Colbath,
Yes, and a big thank you to Mrs. Kamar, who's gonna be sorely missed. 19 years in the district, and Mrs. Cuomo, 22 years.
noted. Ms. Curry,
Yes.
Mr. Knight,
It's frozen.
can you give me a thumbs up?
Mr. Knight? Yeah, he's frozen.
I'm gonna go back. Ms. Kotak,
Yes.
Ms. Morel,
Yes.
Mr. Rubino. Yeah. Ms. Richter,
Yes.
Mr. Knight, try it again.
Yes.
Okay, any old business? All right, new business, Paula and Casey, I know you had things to say, so Paula, start. Casey, before you freeze again, so it's up to you.
Interesting.
Is there anything I can help you with?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit.
Paul, are you letting me talk first or are you gonna go first?
She
All
said
right.
you could.
Great. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather, so I apologize. I mean, I'd like to say something about this retreat that occurred. I missed it because I was sick. I'd like to see it. I see no reason for it not to be released to the public. To be honest, and I hate to think that this is the case, but everything points to the fact that we're hiding something. Why are we not releasing this? What was said or done that we are ashamed of? If there's nothing that we are ashamed of, then I will be making a motion to release the video to the public. Thank you.
Question, who told anyone that it wasn't being released? Because
Well, I'm asking, is it going to be released?
well, I got an email yesterday from Mr. Knight asking why people want to know why it wasn't up yet, but it was a weekend and people don't work on the weekends. That's why it wasn't up
You
yet.
just said it's not going to be released. I have an email trail from you, President Richter, which I'm happy to share with the public. Happy to share the email. If it's
What
okay.
I said in the email.
No, I'd like to finish. I'd like to finish, please. If it's quite all right with you, President Richter, I'd be happy to share the emails that you sent me telling me that you have no obligation to release the video.
I think it's not required by law to post the video because you told me
Well, I
that.
understand it's not required by law, but is it right or not? The right thing to do is to release the video, whether or not it's required by law.
You asked on a Sunday why it wasn't and said you wanted to watch.
When can we expect to see it, President Richter?
Excuse me?
When can we expect to see it? When can we expect to see the video, President Richter?
Department posts the video. That's not my job, and I don't dictate to them when to do their job.
But it will be posted though, just to be clear.
I never said it wasn't. I said it was not required by law to post it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, President Richter.
I mean, look, I don't want to beat a dead horse. Typically, by the time I get home tonight, the video is usually posted.
But it was a
When I get
Saturday.
home, if I want to go back, and so the practice is literally after a meeting is done. And look, I've got carbon copied on emails this weekend.
Yeah, I know.
If it's going to be posted, let's just move on. Will it be posted?
I never said it wasn't.
I don't want it to be. I just want to know that it will be. That's all.
But you're assuming that I said it would not be posted.
The tenor of the email that I was copied on was that it was not going to be posted. If we misread it, then there was some ambiguity. The bottom line is this: people have asked for it. I think it's a wonderful thing. You hear Matt Lee and you learn a lot about board operations. I agree, I don't understand, you know, what, if it was a Sunday thing, now it's Monday night at almost 9 o'clock and it's still not up. So taking everything together, it does not look like there is a
If everyone's okay with their shoes off and feet curled up underneath them while they're shoving food in their mouth, then it will be posted tonight.
Okay.
I mean, really. Amy, you're okay with it being posted tonight?
Yeah, I have a separate.
Go ahead.
I think the horse is dead.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, stop kicking it now. On the busing, two comments. I understand that, we're sending out bids to incorporate the asks for tracking. What about the current buses that Fort Lee runs? Will we also be adding tracking on those buses as well? Because those are not part of the bid, so they are our bus.
So we're looking at how, so we have a program that does, transponder does that.
I know, I've been hearing it for about 2 years now.
So it's a year, we got it a year, so to be fair. We got it a year ago.
Second year.
The first part of it was to determine the mileage, right, so that we have the reports that everybody has received regarding what routes we should be running, what we don't have to run. So that's the first part. The second part of the bids, so some of the routes, we're trying to work out some of the details with it. It's not an easy thing. So for next year, one of the things we have talked about in the budget is trying to encapsulate all of our district busing into an outsourced bid, which would possibly save us money, which would include the tracking. So if you're asking right now from now until June, I don't know if we have the capacity to get that all up and running.
I think it'd be great if we don't have to blow a second birthday candle on busing traffic. So not this June, but hopefully by next school year.
Oh, by September, our plan is to fully implement tracking on the buses for September. That is our goal.
Second busing related issue, I am supportive of adhering to the guidance if we don't lift more than 2 miles, that we students pay for busing. But the jump from 100 to 500 is quite 600, quite significant, especially if you have multiple kids within from 5th grade to 8th grade. So I do want to request for consideration for some sort of sibling discount, especially if the family has multiple kids who need to use busing. It is quite significant for that family. So that's the second.
So just to respond to that, we're well aware of it, and I know we're planning to discuss it. Again, I remind everybody that those routes cost us $275,000. And we took in $18,000 of that. So the district is spending $260,000 roughly.
Wait, on those 240 kids?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that, and it's not required by law. And more importantly, I think when we look at, again, the global programs, what we want to do, as we talk about more programming, what we do to enhance renovations, that's it. So we can have busing, but for $250,000, we'd rather bathrooms fixed. So we have an X number of dollars, and that's it. We can only increase our budget by 2% plus whatever waiver we get for increase.
4% last year.
Because of the waiver, right? The waiver of healthcare because we project, and the state allows us to do that. But even on that 4%, so $275,000, we are doing things that are not required to do. So we have to balance that with what we can do incrementally. So, when we realized we were only getting 18,000 and finance committee met and discussed, there were suggestions for higher numbers. And we brought it back down to what we thought would be affordable for a lot of families. I think we did discuss some kind of, I don't know if we did discuss the discounts. I don't remember if we did.
We did not discuss sibling discounts. There was a higher price that was discussed, and the committee agreed to the $600 per student.
So, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that, and, please take that into account for families with multiple children. Give them some relief. So the third thing I wanted to share with the community, the Fort Lee Police will be giving a presentation at the high school this Friday on the civil servant examination. That test is only given once a year. And that test is only given until register. You can only register until end of March. After that, we have to wait a whole year for that window to open again. For students who are interested in law enforcement, I do want to strongly encourage parents to talk to them. Our community need folks from our community to serve each other, especially among minority communities. I know that we have many minority members who are bilingual, but I do want to encourage students in the district to attend that presentation and get a free period out of your day. Yeah, that's all.
Anyone else have new business?
Yeah, I want to say something. Okay. I just want to make it clear to everybody. I want to set the record straight. Okay? We have not had a board retreat for over 6 years. That's first of all. Okay? If you don't believe me, check it out. We haven't had one since President Hans Silver was here. That's number one. We have never, ever, check it out, take our board retreat, ever. So nothing has ever been posted for a board retreat. You want to doubt me? You're saying I'm lying? By all means. But I'm telling you, we never have before. I'm not saying we didn't do it this time. I'm saying we've never done it before in the past. That's all I'm saying. Whether it goes on or not, I could care less. I'm just saying it's never happened before. So when you say, or when people say you've done it every year, that's not true because we never have.
Anyone else? Okay, motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. Motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?